Been watching all morning here as multiple law enforcement agencies are at the scene of a shooting that happened late last night right at the entrance to Coast Guard Island, Alameda. The location had been the scene of a day-long protest. We had that part for you live yesterday on Mornings on 2. Ali Rasmus there again with a look at still an active scene behind you, Ali.
Yeah, law enforcement agents expect to be out here for the next several hours investigating this shooting that happened late last night. Right now, where we are is Oakland's Embarcadero and Livingston, and the entire block behind us is closed off for all the law enforcement and police investigators. You can look onto Coast Guard Island Bridge, which is just about a block away from us, and you can see it is lit up. Some of the equipment that investigators have been using still in place there, and they're collecting and gathering evidence as they have been throughout the morning and the overnight hours. They're investigating a shooting that happened here just after 10 o'clock last night. Law enforcement officers who'd been in position on the Coast Guard Island Bridge for most of the day opened fire on a U-Haul truck that started backing up into the entrance of the bridge.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. That is right, folks. You saw it here. Another leftist terrorist attack. As a matter of fact, there was a protest going on, as we saw. And, you know, the leftist news, they're trying to spin this, and they're going to do this in this news article, as, oh, we didn't know this guy. This was an independent actor, as a matter of fact. Folks, we are in a dark place in this country, and we are in a civil strife period. We are at war. Like the two competing factions, if you will, is conservatives versus liberals, folks. We are being attacked consistently for our opinions, for our views. The tolerant left cannot tolerate the right for some reason. They cannot tolerate just normal human beings. If we do not adhere to their damn ideology, if we do not adhere to the LGBTQ nonsense, if we say that the transgender community has mental health issues, that we are trying to genocide the trans community, we are racist, misogynist, we are everything in the book. They won't listen to reason whatsoever. They are trying to push society in a certain direction. And guess what? We are society, as a matter of fact. Anybody out there that disagrees with any of that nonsense, you are a normal person, as a matter of fact, and don't let these people try to ostracize you and make you think that you are on the wrong side of history. You are in the minority. You are not in the minority, folks. 77 million people, Americans, voted for Donald Trump because they knew what is coming from the left, and all of this violence and all this nonsense rhetoric has started to ramp up ever since. Well, I mean, look at all the terrorist activities that has been going on. Like, it started with Tesla after Elon Musk went in with Doge and started cleaning up, trying to clean up the government, right? That didn't quite work out. You know, Elon Musk thought he could go in and do what, you know, he did with Twitter and to the federal government or whatever, and he quickly found out that, hang on just a second. Yeah, they call it a swamp for a reason. You know, the swamp is not like your bathtub at the house. You can't just go in and pull the plug and drain the swamp, folks. That's not how that works. You must go in with the big old vac trucks and suck everything out, and there's a lot. There's a whole lot. It's taken its toll on Elon Musk. He left the White House in a rage, if you will. But let's get into this news article before I rant on forever, because I most certainly can, because like I said, folks, we are in a dark place. Check it out, y'all. Coast Guard fires at U-Haul in Alameda. 2 struck after day-long immigration protests. So this guy was a leftist terrorist, if you will. And I'll call him that, because the protest was going on. The protesters, they're trying to claim, oh, he had nothing to do with us. But come on now. For what other reason, in other words, would somebody try to attack ICE? Like the Coast Guard. That's where ICE was stationed at, or that's where they were going to be at. For some reason, Donald Trump has capitulated to a bunch of tech billionaires, and he's not going to send immigration. He's not going to surge immigration enforcement. They already have a presence in San Francisco, but they're not going to surge any more troops, if you will, into that area. So it is what it is. But that didn't stop this person from attacking these people. And we've been seeing just relentless attacks on ICE, folks. I read another news article earlier where now the corporate press they're trying to claim that ICE is violating judges' orders because they're continuing to lob tear gas into riots. As a matter of fact, I mean, how else are you going to try to do crowd control when these people are getting violent with ICE? But the corporate press, they don't tell you that. They just say, oh, well, ICE, they shot tear gas into a crowd, trying to make you think that ICE is just over here, ooh, yeah, ooh, watch this, pow, shooting pepper balls at just peaceful protesters. But they're not peaceful protesters, folks. We've seen the videos. They're constantly attacking ICE. And it's insane. Let's get into this. The FBI is investigating a shooting that occurred late Thursday night near the entrance to Coast Guard Island in Alameda, the same location where a day-long protest against a called-off federal immigration operation had taken place hours earlier. The shooting happened just after 10 p.m. on the bridge leading to the island near Oakland's Embarcadero and Livingston Street. Authorities say Coast Guard police officers opened fire on a U-Haul truck that had been backing up toward the island's entrance. Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and run a video, and it might already be playing, for crying out loud, of just the clip. I'll probably loop it while I read. A KTVU news crew captured the incident as it unfolded, recording about 10 seconds of gunfire followed by shouting. A law enforcement source told the station that 2 people were struck, the driver of the U-Haul and another person who was not inside the vehicle. In other words, it was probably like a stray bullet that ricocheted off of something, maybe hit the ground, a fragment. It was non-life-threatening injuries from what I can understand, but, they were struck. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed that the truck driver was struck by shrapnel and was released medically before being evaluated for mental health. A bystander was struck by a bullet in the stomach and is still being treated at a local hospital as of Friday. They expected to survive. Kalani Sassani started a GoFundMe, writing that her brother Jared was shot in the stomach and was still in the hospital. The DHS also said that the Coast Guard security personnel shot at the U-Haul driver because the truck was driving erratically and attempting to weaponize the vehicle to ram into the Alameda base. Coast Guard officials issued multiple verbal commands to stop the truck, the DHS said, and the driver failed to comply and instead started to reverse, accelerating backwards at a high rate of speed directly toward them. That is what we saw in the video. When the vehicle's actions posed a direct threat to the safety of Coast Guard and security personnel, law enforcement officers discharged several rounds of defensive live fire, the DHS said. Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee said she is working to gather more information on the incident. I am aware of last night's shooting near the entrance of Coast Guard Island in Alameda. The Oakland Police Department is assisting in the Alameda Police Department in securing the perimeter of the scene. The FBI is the lead agency investigating the incident, and I will continue to gather available information as it becomes accessible. Chris Ness, who had been at the immigration protest throughout the day, said an independent actor showed up around 9:30 and who wasn't involved in the protest broke through the barrier and reversed toward the Coast Guard. He wasn't involved in the protest. Like, are you kidding me with this? Does that matter, though? Like, once again, you love how the left, they use language to manipulate everything. That doesn't mean he wasn't a leftist terrorist, folks. He might not have been at the protest, but once again, how do we even know that? This dude could be just lying outright, or maybe, because the protest was kind of big, maybe he didn't see this guy. You ask one person from a protest, was this guy at the... how are they going to know that? Maybe the dude changed clothes. They don't know that. But that doesn't stop the corporate press. Once again, that's a Fox News station, by the way. A local affiliate or whatever, but still a Fox News station. Printing this into their news article. Trying to manipulate everybody to try to say this wasn't a leftist terrorist. He said he saw the Coast Guard fire up to 50 rounds and an innocent bystander was struck. Ness said he ran over to help him before he was ultimately taken to the hospital. He was definitely bleeding though, Ness said. Ness said he also saw the driver of the U-Haul who looked pretty messed up after he got shot. But Ness said he saw him hop on his phone before he drove away and then seemed to run away on foot. Ness said that the group of protesters he was with told the Coast Guard that they were peaceful, which, right, like this is what you walk up to police officers, oh, hey, we're peaceful protesters. Why? Why would you go up to police and just randomly tell them you're peaceful? Like, don't you think they can see? Don't you think that they have brains? Why does that need to be said? That would be like me telling everybody out there, hey, I want you guys right now that are watching this video to know that I have a blue shirt on that has, in yellow letters, it says Tours. Tour Pride, as a matter of fact. And, you know, my background is also blue, and so are these street signs behind me. The saxophone that's behind me is not blue. As a matter of fact, it is more of a goldish, silvery goldish color, if you will. Like, do you guys need to know that information? Why would I come out and say that? Like, I mean, I'm sure you guys can surmise, just from the scene that you're looking at right now, that blue just might be one of my favorite colors. I'm just saying. But now we all know that this guy was a peaceful protester, which is when Oakland police and the Alameda County Sheriff's deputies arrived to secure the scene. At that point, Ness said most of the protesters went home. The FBI has taken the lead in the investigation to determine what led up to the shooting. Ness stressed that for the most part, the immigration protest had been peaceful and he wasn't at all affiliated with the U-Haul driver. Once again, hey, we're not affiliated with this guy. Like, did anybody accuse him of being affiliated with that guy? With the U-Haul truck driver? Once again, that's like when a bank robbery happens and you just so happen to be in the bank. That would be like you coming up to the police afterwards who are doing their investigation and saying, hey, you're not at all affiliated with those bank robbers. Like, why? Don't you think that they can make that determination later? I'm just curious here. You know, it just seems fishy that this guy would say, oh, he wasn't affiliated. He wasn't a protest. He was not at that protest. Swear to gosh. Swear. In fact, we tried to stop them. He said, we wanted to stop this guy. Oh my goodness, man. These people, I love leftists, y'all. In fact, we tried to stop him. It's a really terrible picture for the rest of us, especially. You know, aside from the fact that he was a completely independent actor. See what I mean, folks? Like, I don't know. Are you getting that kind of sense? Maybe it's because I'm being a little bit biased about my opinions here because... But, like, seriously, when I was reading this for the first time, I was like, oh, come on, dude. Like, are you kidding me? How many times are you going to mention that, hang on, you were peaceful, and that this is an independent actor? Like, the news, you saw it at the top, the subtitle or whatever, said independent actor, blah, 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 blah. Like, what? And then he's going to tell us this a couple of times. We had nothing to do with this guy. Sure, you didn't, buddy. He refused to talk to us as well. It was all around just a really weird and dangerous and unfortunate. Okay, my dude. Like, okay, I think we get the picture here. Like, these people, man, I swear. But, folks, that we are really going into a dark place, and I really think that the Trump administration really seriously needs to ramp up enforcement of these people. Enough with the kid gloves nonsense. Seriously. Anytime these people cross that line, you cross that line just a little bit into obstruction, arrested, boom. Send them through the federal court system. Send them through whatever court system you have to. This must be stomped out, folks. This leftist rebellion must be stomped out. Donald Trump most certainly needs to invoke the Insurrection Act. There is way too much violence going on that is committed upon ICE agents. These people have a job to do. And, you know, right now, with the government shutdown, they're still getting paid, by the way. They still have funds in the coffers or whatever. So don't worry about that. They're still getting paid. You know, the Congress, Republicans and Democrats alike, they'll try to make you think it's the apocalypse over here, folks, that the government shut down. But it's not. Like I always say, most of these agencies, they keep a lot of funds in the coffers, and it takes a while for those funds to run out, folks. You think a federal agency that has billions of dollars to work with, right, allocated to them in a budget, do you think they're, you know, they have a government shutdown and all of a sudden they don't have money in the bank anymore? They keep quite a good bit of funds in the coffers, as a matter of fact, so they can still continue to pay these people. These people are still getting paid. Don't worry about that, right? Like, we've been hearing reports about, sure, some of the, like, you know, the air traffic controllers or whatever, like next week they're not going to be getting paid anymore, blah, 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 blah. We've been hearing that from Republicans and Democrats, both them. But, you know, it's Democrats' fault that we're in a government shutdown right now, because they keep voting to keep the government shut down. It is what it is. But folks, we're really, like, seriously getting back to this. We're in a dark place right now. And I think we need to be, if we were ever to unite, we need to stay united right now. We must stay in politics, make sure we stay vigilant in our daily lives as well, because you never know when the next leftist terrorist is going to try to attack somebody. You know, and who's it going to be next? You know, it was Charlie Kirk the last time, but who's it going to be next? You know, these people have ramped up their own security, so it's going to be hard to take out a prominent conservative. So, once again, folks, I would stress to everybody, if you're a proud conservative and you know it, and you air out your conservatism constantly, like it's easy to spot you out, right? Just stay vigilant, folks. Stay vigilant. You know, stay online. Keep pushing forward. We must stay united. We must push back against this nonsense. And the Trump administration, once again, must act. They must get their stuff together on this. I really think that he really needs to invoke the Insurrection Act. After stuff like this, I mean, it's all over the place, y'all. You know, from Dallas to San Francisco to Washington, D.C. to Chicago. That's the whole country, y'all. That's all over the country. So this is getting outright crazy. And I don't know how any of this can actually be resolved. I really don't see the left backing down from anything at this point. They're in too deep, it seems like. Right? The rhetoric, it's nonsense. Like, I just still don't get it. I don't understand how you're going to get out there and actually protest against law enforcement. Yeah, sure, it might be immigration enforcement, but they're still enforcing our laws. It's like, at what point do you realize that you're on the wrong side here? That you are the bad guys? Like, I just don't get it, y'all, but I think I've rambled on for long enough. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. I'm going to bring some levity to my next video. It's quite funny. Hopefully, you know, hopefully I can deliver on a little bit of comedy here, but I'm definitely not a comedian, so we'll see how I do. But y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere that you can. And click that join button, y'all. Sign up and become a member. It's the best way to help me out. And I need y'all's help, y'all. Like you wouldn't believe. But y'all do all that for me, and you guys remember that God has a plan for everybody, and he loves each and every one of you out there. So y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.